Lucy had just returned home from a business trip when she was horrified to discover that her newly renovated villa had actually been decorated into a wedding house by someone, and was shocked to see a group of strangers eating inside her home. Even her expensive furniture was nowhere to be seen, and they had turned the whole house into a complete mess. Furious, she immediately stopped everyone's activities and ordered them to get out of her house at once. But everyone acted as if it didn't matter, because they thought this house had been bought by a relative's son, so they didn't take Lucy's words seriously. While they were arguing, 3 people came down from upstairs. It was only then that Lucy realized the people occupying her house were actually her relatives, Laura and her family. Before Lucy could even question them about why they were doing this, Laura hurriedly tried to drive her out, telling her not to cause trouble at her daughter's wedding. Little did she know, Lucy's identity was not someone Laura's family could afford to offend. It turned out that Lucy was the CEO of a publicly listed company. Relying on years of hard work, she had gone from a small-town girl to a successful businesswoman. She had even bought a luxury villa worth tens of millions through her own efforts. But unexpectedly, when Lucy went to check on the villa's renovation results, the distant relatives Laura and her daughter Anna showed up uninvited. Before Lucy could even react, they began wandering around her villa. When they saw Lucy living in such a big villa, they were filled with envy. Then they revealed their true purpose. It turned out that Laura's daughter Anna was about to get married. Seeing Lucy's house newly renovated, they planned to have Anna's wedding held here and stay for a few more days afterward. They said they would move out once Lucy returned from her business trip. But Lucy didn't want to lend out her freshly renovated home, so she suggested that they hold the wedding at a hotel instead. But as soon as she finished speaking, Laura became displeased. She bluntly said that having a wedding at a hotel would cost too much money. Her daughter Anna even said they weren't planning to use Lucy's house for free. After the wedding, they would compensate her with $200, but Lucy once again refused without hesitation. Hearing this, Laura immediately accused Lucy, saying that it was a waste for a single woman to live in such a big house. Why couldn't she just help her relatives? Seeing Lucy's firm attitude, Laura dropped the act. She bluntly said that if Lucy didn't lend them the villa, their families would cut off all ties. She even threatened to have her son, who had just become a manager, fire Lucy from her job. But what they didn't know was that Jack was nothing more than Lucy's subordinate. Seeing her relatives being so unreasonable, Lucy didn't want to argue with them any further. In a fit of anger, she kicked the 2 of them out. Then she called Jack on the phone and told him everything that had just happened. She even threatened Jack that if he didn't handle Laura's problem, she would fire him herself. Fearing he would lose his job, Jack immediately called his mother. He told her not to provoke Lucy, but unaware of the truth, Laura even told her son to fire Lucy. Just as Jack was about to tell his mother the truth, he was called away by his staff for a meeting. So he hurriedly hung up the phone, but Laura did not let the matter rest. After Lucy left for her business trip, she brought in a locksmith and had him pry open the villa's front door lock. Then, she and her daughter moved right in. Next, they called a moving company to take away all the furniture and appliances Lucy had just bought, moving everything out. They even damaged quite a few expensive antiques. When they found Lucy's costly jewelry on the table, the mother and daughter greedily took them for themselves. After that, they decorated the house as a wedding home and held a lavish banquet inside, inviting guests. When the relatives saw that Laura could live in such a fine house, they all looked at her with envy. One by one, they began to flatter and fawn over Laura. Seeing this, Laura proudly boasted to everyone that this was the house her son had bought. Then, everyone began eating and drinking recklessly in the villa. Even the little children used Lucy's lipsticks as crayons, scribbling wildly on the mirrors. And this very scene happened to be seen by Lucy when she returned from her trip. She immediately knew that Laura was behind all this. Right away, she confronted Laura. Unexpectedly, in order not to lose face in front of the relatives, Laura not only refused to admit her mistake, but also claimed that the house had been bought by her son. She even offered Lucy $200 to make her leave quickly, but Laura's family had trespassed into her home. How could $200 possibly settle that? So Lucy demanded that they pay compensation, since the furniture in the house was all imported. Seeing that Lucy was giving her no respect, Laura also dropped the pretense. She bluntly said her son would be arriving soon, and when he did, he would have Lucy fired. Even Anna began threatening Lucy, but as soon as the words left her mouth, Lucy noticed the necklace hanging on her neck. She immediately questioned her about where the necklace had come from. When the other side refused to admit it, Lucy had no choice but to go upstairs to check her jewelry. To her shock, all of her jewelry had been taken by the greedy mother and daughter. At this moment, Anna nervously said, "What if Lucy finds out we stole her jewelry?" But Laura didn't care. She said bluntly that Lucy had no evidence, and if they just denied it, nothing would happen. But right after those words, Lucy walked over. She publicly accused the two of not only trespassing into her home, but also stealing her jewelry. Before she could even finish speaking, Laura interrupted her. Then the mother and daughter turned the truth upside down, claiming that this was their house and slandering Lucy as just a low-level employee at her son's company, jealous that her son had become a manager, and that was why she dared to cause trouble at her daughter's wedding. As soon as these words came out, the relatives present all began blaming Lucy. Seeing the situation turn against her, Lucy had no choice but to ask Laura to show proof that this house really belonged to her. Then, Laura produced the fake property deed she had prepared in advance to prove to everyone that this house belonged to her son. After seeing it, everyone believed her without a doubt, but only Lucy knew that the property deed was fake. She then exposed Laura's trick in front of everyone. As she spoke, she called her assistant and told them to bring over the real property deed. It was only then that Anna finally panicked completely.